Hello and welcome back to Spirit Quest, episode 9, where we finally get back to Bourbon. Now, why did I not want to do Bourbon earlier on? Part of the reason is that I had already been doing a few reviews, and I wanted to appreciate the Four Roses single barrel as best as I could. Here it is, by the way. I only got a shot. Yes, I did. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. First, let's do a quick nosing and tasting. Ooh, vanilla. French vanilla cappuccino. Caramel macchiato. Dried raisins. And yes, believe it or not, I get roses in Four Roses single barrel. If you can't tell by the way I'm talking, it smells quite sweet. Yes, indeed. Yes. There's a blast of rye, honey, caramel, brown sugar, turbinado sugar, and I would say pears and peaches. Yes, indeed. This is a damn fine bourbon. Yes, indeed. There's no questions about that. And let me just go ahead and add our 5 milliliters of water. And let it set for a minute. Now, on Four Roses, you may have noticed that its popularity has exploded in the last years or so. This is due in part to the fact that for a number of years, Four Roses was not available on the market until the corporate owners that be swapped around the brands, and finally now Four Roses is back on the market. Without getting into who owned what and who sold what to who, Four Roses was not on the market for a long time. It is now, and they're coming back in force. Four Roses has kind of built up a name for itself as being a quality bourbon. Something that I will point out on this shot that I bought, this 50 milliliter bottle, and it is a glass bottle, by the way. Hear that? Glass bottle. Some of the concern with buying shooters, 50 milliliter containers for enjoyment of whiskey is that the plastic can actually taint the flavor. The plastic bottle can actually taint the flavor. But with glass bottles, glass 50 milliliter bottles, you do not have to worry about the flavor being tainted. And I just want to point out that even in their 50 milliliter bottle, they went to the trouble of having their Four Roses emblem did on the glass. And let me see if I can focus in on that real quick so you can see it more clearly. All right, there you go. It's a highly detailed glass. It's a beautiful little bottle, and trying it this way is much cheaper than buying the whole bottle. If you get the chance, pick up a 50 milliliter bottle, but you really can't go wrong with Four Roses single barrel. So I would recommend going ahead and taking the plunge and buying the whole bottle. Most places you can get it for $40. You can get it for $40 online. If you're willing to pay the shipping, you can get it from Drizzly, I believe, for $40. To make the shipping worthwhile, you may have to pick up some other things. So get your shopping list together and head on over to Drizzly. I would like to point out that the let me get this up. The cork here is actually... Did you hear that? So pleasing. The cork is actually a real cork top. A tiny little real cork and real wood top, which you don't see much of. Now, it is marketing, but it's good marketing. It really does show that they took the time and investment in their product to make it marketable, because it is such a good whiskey. Let's go back for another nosing and tasting real quick. Caramel, spice. I do believe this is high rye. Flowers. I do believe that's coming from the rye. Oh yeah, still quite pungent. Still rock'em sock'em oakum in the face. But very pleasing, very pleasant. I get a little bit of maple syrup now that I wasn't getting before. I'm going to add 5 more milliliters of water because this is bottled at 50% alcohol by volume, which is good because it locks in more of the flavor. But you will have to add at least a little bit of water, either 1 or 2 teaspoons or 5 to 10 milliliters. By the way, I tend to measure things in terms of milliliters. That's because of my background in science. If you prefer to do things in the standard system, there's nothing wrong with that. Just be aware that 5 milliliters is 1 teaspoon. 15 milliliters is 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon. And 30 milliliters, which is 2 tablespoons, is also equivalent to 1 ounce. 1 fluid ounce is 30 milliliters or 2 tablespoons. A shot, strictly speaking, is 1.5 ounces or 45 milliliters or 3 tablespoons. And most shooters come in 50 milliliter containers, so basically a shot. Okay, now, on shots and shooters, anytime that you can, I would recommend picking up a 50 milliliter shooter bottle to try a new whiskey, especially if it's expensive, so you can know whether or not you like it. But again, the only concern with plastic bottles is that once they get heated up, if they got heated up anywhere in transit, some of the plastic can leach out into the spirit and actually contaminate the flavor. That is not going to happen with this bottle because this bottle is glass. I would like to say, though, however, what I noticed in my research when I started researching what mash bill this Four Roses single barrel is, I came up with 2 results, and on the full bottle there's a string of letters that indicate what the mash bill is. The second letter, the first letter will always be O, which indicates the distillery. The second letter will tell you what the mash bill is, and in single barrel there are 2 mash bills they can use, either B or E. Mash bill B as B as in Bob is 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% barley. So high rye, slightly lower corn. The other mash bill, E as in Eleanor, is 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% barley. So significantly lower on the rye. And a full bottle of Four Roses single barrel will tell you this. It'll also tell you which yeast strain they used, which is interesting, I thought. But apart from that, the small bottle that I have actually does not tell me which one of the mash bills they're using. It could be either B or E, but given how much floral notes I'm getting and how much spice I am getting, I would be willing to bet that this is mash bill B, that is higher rye content. I would be willing to bet this is a high rye bourbon. Now it is tamed down so much. There's almost no bite at all. There's so much sugar. There's so much fructose. It is incredible. This tastes like Karo syrup and cinnamon and spices, and I would say clove and maybe cardamom and honey. This is really an incredible beverage. If you're going to spend the money, there are few bourbons that you can get that rival this for a comparable price. If you can pick this up at $40 a bottle, you cannot go wrong at $40 a bottle, believe you me. And that will actually be a fun experiment sometime. See if you can find one that has the one mash bill and another bottle that has the other mash bill. Get them both and compare them. Maybe we'll do this on this channel at some point. Promises, some point in the future. Oh, I get dry fruits, like dark cherries, apricot pits, apple seeds. There's something very tannic and bitter in there, but it's also very sweet. So it is quite enjoyable. I have no complaints about this bourbon. This is a really good bourbon. That's all I have to say. This is at the upper echelon, I would say, of bourbon. Of course, if you watch the Whiskey Vault, there's no good or bad whiskey or bourbon. There's only what you like to drink and what you don't like to drink. And so I will say that I very, very much like to drink Four Roses single barrel. The aromas become very delicate. The floral and spicy notes are still present, but the spiciness is quite subdued. That is extremely sweet. The bourbon spice is still present, but not overwhelming. This is quite a sweet, delicious, spicy, floral, even zesty bourbon. And I would definitely recommend it. I would also recommend, anytime you can, pick up whiskey in 50 milliliter bottles to try them, see if you like them, but be advised that the plastic bottles will sometimes contaminate the flavor if they get heated up. Be aware of that. Try new things, try more things, especially if you're on a budget. This is helpful. And until next time, I have been your host and your tour guide on our journey together through the experience of Four Roses single barrel bourbon. If you have appreciated anything I've had to say, if you like this channel and want to support it, I would ask that you do me, your friend and whiskey mate, a solid favor. Just jump down, give the video a like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, leave me a comment, tell me what you thought about this bourbon if you got to try it, tell me if you're looking forward to trying it, if not, why not, tell me if you got a completely different experience. I will be launching a Patreon soon, so keep an eye out for that. You can support me by getting me a dram to try, and I will also be uploading a mailing address at some point, so you can send me samples of things that you would like for me to try. I appreciate your viewership, and let's continue on together on our spirit quest. Until next time.